Hi everyone, welcome back to Hive Knits Natters podcast with me, Lizzie, the maker behind Hive Knits. You can find me here on YouTube and also on Instagram and Ravelry as Hive Knits. Welcome back to my knitting podcast channel. This is episode 22 of Hive Knits and Natters podcast. If you're new, then welcome. I'm Lizzie. I'm a doctor living in the northwest of England. And I'm not doctoring, I am knitting a lot. And if you're a returning viewer, then hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming back. So I have once again been pushed out of my usual podcast spot by one of the cats. It's like they know. So I am back on the sofa. Had some better feedback about the focus of the camera last time, the second time I filmed an episode on my phone camera, so that's good news. So we're doing that again today. Just makes the whole filming and editing process a lot easier. Since I last filmed, since episode 21, there has been what I can only describe as chaotic cast-on energy. I feel like I've started a lot of things, haven't got that far with them, but there's a lot of new things to show you. So I thought, right, sit down, film an episode, fill you in on what's been going on. In the background, the test knit for the Reste sweater is coming on beautifully. I will insert some footage of some of the beautiful projects that have been created by the testers for this sweater design. You can follow their progress by using hashtag the Reste sweater on Instagram, or by having a look on Ravelry at the project as well. And yeah, it's just so exciting. I always think it's one of my favourite parts of a test knit, when everyone's choosing their colours and seeing what everyone goes for, and how a design that you know inside out because you've looked at it so much can just look so different depending on the colours that you choose. So yeah, they're all doing an amazing job, and just going really quickly through the test knit. Someone has already finished. In fact, they finished a week or so ago, I think 2 weeks into the test knit, which must be some kind of record. But yeah, check that out if you are excited for this upcoming release. I'm hoping that we'll be on track for September, October release, depending on what happens with the test knit. If everyone flies through it at the rate they're doing at the minute, then hopefully we'll be on the earlier end of that, but sometime in autumn, which will be perfect for a cozy autumn sweater knit. So that's the Reste sweater. I have in this episode no finished objects, so if you're here for the finished object content, sorry. But four works in progress, as well as some acquisitions which have been purchased to make these works in progress since we last chatted. So I'll show you 3 of which you've never seen. This is what I mean. Crazy cast on energy, but one of them you have seen. So I'll show you that one first and show you where we're up to, and then I'll show you the new guys. So the first work in progress I have got to show you is at the very messy octopus stage of life. But you have seen it before. In the last podcast episode, it was very much an early work in progress. I'm trying to remember. I think I just split the sleeves, possibly. So I've made loads and loads of progress since then. So it's going to look awful when I hold it up, so I shall do some B-roll. But hopefully you can appreciate the progress that we have made on the Reste Cardigan. So yes, this is the sister design to the Reste sweater pattern. How exciting. And I have flown through this and then stalled because I've got to the double knit button band, which is my old enemy from this time last year when I was working on it for the first cardigan, and all those hours of trial and error, ripping back, cautious blocking are just all coming back. So it's slow but steady progress. So I will insert some B-roll, which can be playing while I talk a little bit about it for those who are unfamiliar. So the Reste Cardigan is, like I said, a sister design to the Reste sweater, which is my sweater currently in testing. It is a DK weight cardigan V-neck with a double knit button band, and the design is similar to the Reste sweater in that it's designed to help you use up scraps of lace weight yarn to work the stripes on the garment, which are bordered by a row of garter or pearl bumps. And as soon as I made the sweater, I was like, this has to be a cardigan version, and I just couldn't get my head away from a monochromatic version, a black and white version. And I'm really glad that I went for that. I think it's really striking. The black yarn is fun to work a double knit button band in, so I'm very glad that I have used this design element before, and this is not my first time trying to work it out. I learned so much from using this for the first cardigan, oh my word, and it's definitely been easier second time around. The main lessons I learned for the first cardigan were making sure to block the body of the cardigan before trying to add the button band at the end, because the row gauge for the button band has to match the row gauge of the body of the cardigan, and for me that was like not accurate. I couldn't assess that accurately until it was blocked. So that was mistake number one, trying to attach it before I'd block the body. Also doing just a double knit button band swatch was really handy, and blocking that before deciding whether or not those two gauges match. So I did both of those things this time around, and it has definitely made it quicker. Let me show you my progress on the button band. I was kind of apprehensive about the button band slightly because I didn't know how it would work with the stripes, but if I do say so myself, I think it's worked out pretty well. So that's where we're up to. I'm just at the point of, so I've done the right side with the buttonholes, and have got to the point just along the back neck above got past the first sleeve. So I'm just under halfway. I think for this project, for the black, I'm using these woolly knit cones. So this is their fingering weight merino, just like stitch holders everywhere. This is their fingering weight merino cones, and I'm using it held double. I'm gonna have so much left. Like I'm just doing the button band now and not so much yarn left. But I ordered two because they are quite, well, really reasonable, 500 grams for £28 full price, and they do sales. I didn't buy that in the sale, but they do fairly regular sales, I believe. But I really wanted to just be able to work from two cones and not have to faff around with like splitting one cone into two separate. I was like, I'm just gonna take the hit, order the bulk of yarn. Who knows how much I'll need. There may be an element of ripping back. I just want to work from two cones. So now I can just keep it on the cone, which doesn't make this project very portable, but there we are. that was a tangent. What I was saying was that I think that for the first cardigan I used a fingering weight Merino nylon blend, the Filcolana Arvetta, and a strand of Mohair. Whereas this, I'm just using 2 fingering strands held together, and it's like a very sturdy fabric. It holds its shape quite well. It's less like floppy, if that makes sense, than this single strand with the Mohair. So I think it's made for quite a nice crisp button band, and I think the stripes work well. It's got a 2x2 rib bottom hem, and then you can see the button band just starts there. So it's hard to see it properly just now, hard to appreciate, but I just need to power through with the button band because, like I said, I have stalled. Also need to decide on what buttons to use. My other top tip for knitting this double knit button band is doing it in very small chunks, like maybe 20 rows at a time, and then, well, first time round I spritzed it with my plant spritzer, but now, and I'm going to show you in my acquisitions, or maybe I'll just show you now, I have a new toy, a clothes steamer, and so every little section that I do, I then steam block the button band just to make sure that it's sitting nicely, and I think that is helping me be satisfied that the button band is the right gauge and it's sitting right throughout the garment. So yeah, all of this has actually been steam blocked, the button band. So yeah, that's my progress. It's once I've done the button band, if I'm happy with, if there's no major issues, I just need to do the cuffs on the sleeves in the 2x2 rib to match the bottom ribbing, and then I thought my video had stopped then, and then that's it, I think. I'm very happy with my monochrome choice. I think it's really striking, like I said. The white mohair is definitely making its presence known on the black. The white mohair is shedding quite a bit, but I think overall it doesn't detract from the overall look. So yeah, I need to get a wiggle on with this really. I've proper stalled on it, as you'll see from all my other cast-on items, but I'm very, very excited for it to be done. And if I can just crack through the button band and get the sleeves on and then be happy with the sample, then I can start writing the pattern up. So I need to stop procrastinating on that really. The pattern shouldn't take me too long to write up, because in a lot of ways it's very similar to the sweater, with some obvious differences for the V-neck. But I'm hoping that because I've got the Reste sweater on my brain from the test knit currently, this shouldn't take too long, and hopefully my grader and tech editor will be happy to work on this for me. And I'm not sure I can handle 2 test knits at the same time, although the Reste sweater one is going quite smoothly. So maybe I'll have to wait for that test knit to finish before I put a call out for this. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. I need to finish the button band first. So yeah, that's the Reste cardigan. That's the back. And it's nearly finished. For the mohair stripes, I used both of these white knitting for olive, white or off-white knitting for olive mohairs. I have talked about the colours before. Off the top of my head, this one is Snefnug and this one is Flöde, which I think means cream. Now for the rest of the sweater, I held 2 strands of mohair together for the stripes. For the cardigan, I've actually held 3. I just felt like it matched the gauge of the woolly knit cone held double just that little bit better. But you could do it with 2 if you wanted to. I don't have the 3rd ball of mohair here. It was Filcolana Tilia in their whitest white, whatever that one is. I think it's 100, maybe the colour number or something, or 1,000. But my mum is test knitting the Reste sweater for me, and she wasn't sure what colour to do her stripes, and because I have so much scrap mohair left over in all different colours, I basically put it all in a bag and gave a load to her and was like, choose what you want. If you want to buy some, that's fine. If you want to use some of these. So the Tilia, the white Tilia, has gone to be offered to her should she wish to use it. She's very excited. She's never done a test knit before. She didn't want to be in the like Instagram chat, mainly because she doesn't have Instagram, and she didn't want to create an account just for that. So she's just plodding along with it in her own time. But she has gone for the same colour base yarn as my sample, like a light grey, and then she's going to decide what colours to do her stripes. I think a bright yellow one is definitely featuring, which is very exciting because I don't have a yellow one in mine. Yellow's not really one of my colours, but yes, that's where the 3rd ball of mohair went. But essentially I used 3 strands of white-ish mohair for the stripes. So that's all I'll say about that. I'm going to say it now because it has worked for me in the past. Next time I film, I want to have finished that cardigan and be able to show you in a bit more detail. The steamer I was talking about, by the way, is here. It's very nifty actually. So this is where the water sits in the little reservoir, but you can take that off. Oops, doesn't normally leak. You can remove that so that you can like take it with you. It's quite portable. And then you fill the water reservoir, you just pop that back on there, and then that becomes the handle. And then you can either use the actual surface of this for like ironing, so it's like a travel iron, or when you press the button on the back there, this becomes a steamer and you can just, or and oh my word, it's changed my life. I hate ironing with a passion. I try and buy clothes deliberately so they don't need ironing, even for like my smart work clothes. And as a result, I have mainly tops in my wardrobe which I haven't worn for years, because I refuse to iron them, which is a waste. But now I can just hang them up, give them a quick steam, and then off you go. So it's great for that. Also, it's really good for like provisional blocking of knits. I probably wouldn't, for a garment, I probably wouldn't skip the final like wet block stage, because I think that just really, it like brings some yarns to life, and it's a nice stage and makes it smell nice and blah blah blah. I wouldn't skip that necessarily for a garment, but I have literally used this so much. You know, just things like, well, how will my gauge change when this is blocked? This can just give you a really, really good idea. It's not perfect, but it gives you a very good idea. Or how will that sit when it's blocked? Or, you know, that stockinette edge is curling and you just steam it and it sits properly. So I used it loads for this cardigan when I was working out the yoke to work out where I needed to put a split for sleeves in. I'm using it as I go around doing the double knitting. My other projects, I've used it as well to like part block, to be like, how's that sitting? How does that edge look? It's great. It literally takes like 2 minutes and completely transforms the way that a fabric looks and sits and feels and behaves. So big fan. Not an affiliate, not being paid to promote this. I got this on Amazon. I can't actually remember what it's called. Oh, Home Easy is the brand, which I'd never heard of. I just like the colour. I'm that fickle. So yeah, would definitely recommend. Was heavily influenced by my friend Laura Penrose, and yeah, wouldn't be without it. Oh, there's some men in a big bucket on a crane outside the window. I'm sure there's a more technical name for that. That's distracting, and they're probably looking in, watching me talk to myself. Right. Oh, completely forgot to talk about what I'm wearing, by the way. This is not a handmade item, but this is. It's really in-betweeny weather. It's July, you wouldn't know it. It's literally been raining for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. But it's still like warm, but not a nice warm, not a sunny warm. So I didn't want to wear wool, but I equally didn't want to sit in a vest top. So I've reached a compromise and I've put on a handmade cami with like just this cord shirt over the top. So this is my Desert Dusk top. Let me sit a bit further forward so you can see. Oops, I test knit this ages ago for Ahiba, I think her name is. I haven't seen that much of her on Instagram actually these days. Hope you're doing well. One of my first test knits I ever did actually, and it's like a reversible cami, so this is technically the wrong side, but it's still very fun. Made with one strand of We Are Knitters cotton in, I want to say ivory, don't quote me on that. And yeah, it's just very comfy, easy to wear under something or on its own. But yeah, I completely forgot to mention that. So if you were wondering, yes, this is a handmade cami, and that is what that's what its name is. Right. I feel a bit rusty today. Not really sure why. Hasn't been that long since I filmed. It's definitely been longer breaks. Well, you have to take me as you find me. So I've got 3 new whips to show you. I have no business having 3 new whips because I have multiple unfinished projects that I'm not going to use the word could have been working on, including my bridal version of the Reste Cardigan, which I smashed through the yoke, split for sleeves, and then have stalled, which is a common theme for me. But it's just chilling. It's just waiting for the right moment for me to pick it up again, which is fine. All of these 3 cast-ons are like summer patterns, and I have no business casting on new summer patterns because I have the June top and cami number 2, which I have not worked a single stitch of over the summer, and I said I was going to, but I haven't. And yeah, but this is a hobby. This is not there is no obligation. And Laura Penrose has talked a bit in her Vlogmas in July about feeling obligated to work on things and immediately not wanting to. So I think I can identify with that a little bit here. And I just wanted to cast these on, so I did. And that's all there is to it, really. So the first one I'm going to show you, I essentially got jealous of my mum's projects. So she has knit and finished one of these, and while I was down staying with her a few weeks ago, she was working on it, which is probably where the jealousy came from. And now she's working on a second version, and it is the Kumulus Tee by Petite Knit, which is a really, really popular pattern for very good reasons. Lots of beautiful versions out there. And when she started making it, I was like, oh yeah, that I don't really want to make that. It's like a fingering weight summer t-shirt that's going to take forever. And then her finished version was just so beautiful. I'll ask and if she minds me putting a picture in. If not, I shall put a picture in of somebody else's version. I just thought, oh, that's actually really stunning, really simple, would really fit in my, like I could have worn it today, for example. It's definitely a place for that in my wardrobe. I would wear it for work. So I cast one on. Luckily, I had some yarn in my stash that would work. So I think in the pattern, Petite Knit recommends, is it Pure Silk Knitting for Olive or their Merino? But essentially a fingering weight yarn / summer yarn. My mum's using cotton merino for both her samples, and I had some, I didn't have any cotton merino in stash, but I had some Filcolana Messy, which is, a cotton merino blend. It is 200 meters, 50 grams, so fingering weight, and it's 50/50. And this one is colour 1090, which I think is their just off-white. I don't think it's Filcolana's whitest white colour. And I originally had this for making a different summer top several years ago. I can't remember exactly which one now. I think it might have been an along avec Anna pattern. And for one reason or another, I just didn't get around to making the top using this. But it's a lovely yarn. Oh, the men in the bucket are now making a noise. If it's a problem, I'll pause till they've finished. Yeah, really wanted to use this yarn, and I was like, oh, that'd be perfect for the Kumulus Tee. So there's not that much to show at this stage. I haven't quite, it's a V-neck, raglan V-neck tee, and I haven't quite joined in the round yet. I'm working the raglan increases and the V-neck increases, and I'm close to joining in the round, but not quite there yet. So let me see how I'm going to be able to best show you this. Not very well, essentially. This is what I have so far. This is the V-neck edge here. And then you can see raglan increases. This is the back round to the other side. And eventually they will meet in the middle. Like this. And that is probably the best I can show you. Until it's joined and the sleeves are split, to be honest, it's probably just going to still look a bit of a mess. This is all I have left of my first ball of Mercy. I think I had pinched a bit of it for a swatch for something else. I was contemplating making a tee version of the first sweater in this perhaps, but I think this held single-stranded may just be a bit too fine. I'm not sure I love the idea of it being a fingering weight tee, but I know that my gauge is very tight, and if I'm working this on 3.25, yeah, 3.25. I think the pattern uses 3. So I just thought to myself, historically for my patterns, my testers and presumably everybody else has to go down at least one, if not several needle sizes. So if I design a tee on 3mm needles, fingering weight gauge, people are going to have to be using pretty small needles to meet that gauge. So I'm going to store that idea, maybe use either this held double or another slightly heavier summer weight yarn. Anyway, that was a tangent. Yeah, this is all I have to show you at the moment. Doesn't look that pretty, does it, at the minute? But I think it will be a lovely staple piece one day when it's finished. And depending on how much yarn this uses, I'm considering possibly, and how much I like the finished pattern, but I think I will, looking at my mum's. I've seen it in the flesh as well as in photos. I'm considering ripping out a cami I made last year in fingering weight, cotton, linen and viscose blend, Sandnes Tilia. I made this Villa camisole by Kadri, and I love the yarn, I love the drape, I love everything about the fabric, but if I'm being honest, I don't love the pattern. That's not fair. The pattern was very good. I don't love the way the finished garment sits on me. I find the triangles with the roll, with the stockinette, they just roll, the edges roll, and it's not bra friendly, and the fit's just not great. And I wonder if I could repurpose the yarn, because I think the drape of that yarn in a pattern like the Kumulus Tee could be. So that's a potential. So that's the Kumulus Tee, and that's all I've got to say on it. I think I am, like I said, using needle size 3.25 millimeters, which is 0.25 higher than the pattern recommends, because I'm a tight knitter, and I'm making size small. So my next two work in progresses, whips, are actually the same pattern. This is where my chaotic brain has been. This is the result of this chaotic cast-on energy. Do you ever do that thing where you see a pattern come out and you think, that looks lovely, but it's not for me. I don't think I want that in my wardrobe. I don't think I'd want to make that. I just can't see myself knitting that pattern. That happens to me a lot. And then occasionally I have a complete reversal of how I feel about something. And that's what happened in this case. So not so long ago, Petite Knit released the Poppy Tee. There was lots and lots of hype about it on the Knitstagram scene. It's a very clever pattern. The construction was a bit, a bit different to what we've seen a lot of recently. She knitted her sample in that very on-trend, like bright corally red in Cardiff cashmere, which is a very trendy and desirable yarn at the minute. So there was I saw a lot of it, and maybe that's partly why I took against it. I don't know, maybe something subliminal in my brain was like, who knows. However, I was watching, I got really into the Copy Dolls trip to Sweden to see Alexandra's garn. So if anyone doesn't know, they are a group of sisters from California who all knit and crochet, but mainly knit now. And they made internet friends with Alexandra of Alexandra's Garn, who lives in Sweden. And I just think it's so lovely how they've made this like really nice friendship across, like, internationally. And then they basically went to Sweden to see her for the second time, I believe. But they're all massively into vlogging, podcasts as well, but vlogging. And it cracks me up actually, in a nice way, because they all vlog exactly the same thing, but from like their own perspectives. And I just got like way into their visit. Like I was watching all three Copy Dolls, or at least two of them, like vlogged it heavily, and Alexandra did. Like watching the same events like 3 times over. And I was just like, I'm so into this. And yeah, they're great fun. I'll link them down below. Anyway, when I was watching one of their many vlogs of their trip, I saw that Malika, I think it's you, sorry if this is wrong, was wearing a Poppy Tee. And I was like, I looked on her Instagram and saw pictures of it, and I was like, oh, that's really nice. And she'd made it in like a mid-grey marl, and I looked what yarn she'd use, and she'd use Drops Lima, which is a wool and alpaca blend, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, like a bit of a heavier, way more affordable, but kind of like a different yarn base to use. And I just loved the way it fit her. It's like a set-in sleeve construction. It's not a raglan, it's not a drop shoulder, it's just very different. And I just suddenly saw this tee in a whole new light and was like, I need to have one of those, and I'm going to make it in Drops Lima. So I decided on this colour of Drops Lima, which is, I think they call it ice blue, on the Drops website, or Wool Warehouse was actually where I got this from, but it's colour code 8112, and yeah, 65% wool, 35% alpaca. And I love this colour. It's depending on what light you're in, it can look a little bit lilac, which I'm not really into, but I kind of like that it's just on the border of blue / lilac. So I literally couldn't wait for this to arrive. I wanted it, I cast it on straight away, and got just, for the first time in ages, I was like challenged by a construction method. And that's not me being big-headed, that's just because I like knit a lot of raglan constructions basically, and then drop shoulder, but this was different. And it was really, really fun to be following a pattern and be like, oh, okay, let me check I've done that right. What's next? What's next? Like, learn something new. So this is what we have. Ta-da! Isn't it cute? I've added the neckband because I couldn't help myself. And I really think it's brought it to life. But like, this is what I mean about the set-in sleeve. It's really cool. You like pick up for the sleeve and then do some raglan-esque increases. That's the back. And yeah, I really, really like it. Obviously it is very, very cropped at the moment, but I think the colour will work really nicely, and I'm also hoping that I could wear this for work. It's got a nice little detail of like a pearl row around the ribbing, which you can see there on the neck, and I believe is replicated on the sleeve ribbing and bottom ribbing as well. So yeah, that's my poppy tee by Petite Knit. This is a size small, I'm pretty sure. I'm knitting this on 3.75mm needles. The pattern suggests 3.5, but as we know, I'm a tight knitter, so I've gone up to 3.75. I actually think this isn't blocked, it's steamed, actually. This is an example of how I can show you. It's slightly crumpled now, so it's been in my bag, but this is now, I steamed this when I'd added the collar to be like, oh, what does this look like? And it, yeah, really made a difference. Everything's just sitting nicer, and I wanted to know like how this back seam would sit when it's blocked, and this one, and it was just way, way easier to see having steamed it. Pre-wet block, my gauge on this is still 1 stitch off, so it's meant to be 23 stitches in 10 centimeters. This is 24. It seems to be on my magic number, 24. Like my first sweater and cardigan in 24. This Reste Cardigan has turned out to be 24, even though I was aiming for 23. This poppy tee turned out to be 24. I don't know, weird. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so I'm still 1 stitch out. However, it's not been wet blocked, and I feel like this yarn that is for 35% alpaca will probably give with block and with wear, so I'm not too worried about that. If it's a bit of a snugger fit, then that's fine. I think it's made to have 5 centimeters of positive ease if you follow the recommended ease in the pattern, So I don't mind if it's got like ever so slightly less, which may then grow to be more with time. So yeah, I just had my mind completely changed on this pattern, and it was so nice to just be totally inspired by someone else's version, to be like, oh yeah, I get it now and I want to make that. And I don't just have one. This is how ridiculous. Now this I really can't explain. I was making this and I don't know how I made the segue into ordering yarn for another one. There wasn't even a sale on, there wasn't any incentive particularly, except I've got really into black yarn, having been terrified of it for my entire knitting career until now. When I made this Reste Cardigan, I was like, you have to like keep an eye on what you're doing, maybe avoid artificial light, but actually it's not as scary as everyone makes out. And I think a black knitted garment looks really good. And so I can't even remember how this segue got made. I was up too late one night and found myself, I remember, I under-ordered enough yarn for this. I think I ordered based on the recommended yarn, which is either Cardigan Cashmere held single, Tin Silk Mohair held double, or something else held single. And I basically ordered based on the recommended yarn, and then realised that the weight and yardage of this would mean I needed a little bit more, like one skein more. So I was on Wool Warehouse doing an order for another couple of these, and somehow, don't ask me how, I had the burning desire to knit a version of the Poppy Tee in, wait for it, black alpaca silk. Brushed alpaca silk. I just suddenly had this image of like a fluffy, black, beautiful, like moderate to little ease Poppy Tee. I was like, that would just be such a beautiful transitional piece, like the design, but like make it autumn winter. And then here we are. So this is what I've ordered. The black brushed alpaca silk. It's so lovely. It's so fluffy. Let me see if I can bring out some fluff. Yeah, there you go. And so I'm holding this double, and it arrived on Friday, and I had a really rough day at work on Friday, and I just decided that I was gonna cast it on to make myself feel better, and guess what? It worked. That's right, it arrived on Friday and I cast it on Saturday, and now we're Monday and we have made progress. So this again, like the Kumulus Tee, is going to look like a mess, but you've seen my blue Poppy Tee, so you sort of know what it's going to look like. We're at the stage where I have started at the back, done the back panels, picked up for the sleeves, and now joined in the round at the front. So we need to do some more sleeve increases, and then we will start like the raglan-y increasey section. I don't know how well any of this is gonna show up, but there are the back increases. Oh yeah, I think you can see it there. Yes, you can. And where's this? That's where I've picked up for the sleeve. Oops, sorry, keep moving it around. Hope you can appreciate that. And then obviously this doesn't have the neckline on just yet, but when I think when it does have its neckline added, it's just going to be so pretty. So yeah, that's my mad chaotic cast-on energy. I haven't done a spurt of cast-ons like that in a long time, and I'm not quite sure why it's happened things have been a bit up and down at work, so maybe it's a reflection of that. I don't know. I just decided to follow what I wanted to do, and it's made me very happy. And as always, when doing a podcast, when I'm kind of like about a whip, when I pick them up and I show you and have a chat about them, it makes me really excited to work on them all again. So better get my skates on. I think the only really like summery one is the Kumulus Tee, just because of the fibre, but it could definitely be a layering piece / into autumn / it doesn't matter if I don't finish it before the summer is over. These two are definitely going to be transitional pieces. Like, this is definitely like a heavier, I mean, it's 65% wool, for goodness sake. It's not like a summer t-shirt, and this is floof. So there's no rush on those either. My main priority is to get that double knit button band finished on the cardigan. And yeah, I feel like I whipped through that. I've been watching a new to me podcast, Knits, N-E Knits. Her name is Amy, I think. I'm really sorry if that's wrong. And I've been a bit hit and miss with podcasts recently. I've been watching like my old favourites, but haven't really like allowed any new podcasters into my sphere. But I've been really, really enjoying Knits podcasts, and I love it when you find someone that you really, really enjoy watching and they've got a good few videos to catch up on. But her style is very like no nonsense. It's very much like, hi, this is who I am, let's get into the knitting. Whereas I'm more like, knit and natter. But I feel like maybe there's a benefit to being a bit more down to business, particularly maybe early on in the podcast, and then if people don't want to watch the chatter, then they can just leave. So I'm trying to channel a bit of knits, but without like losing the knit and natter style entirely. So would recommend that channel. I will link it in the description. And I think that's all from me today. That was a whirlwind tour of the chaotic energy that is living over here at Hive Knits. I have been a bit absent on Instagram, I realised. I posted something yesterday and I realised I hadn't posted for about 3 weeks. I just haven't been feeling the Instagram love. Not to like be self-pitying, because no one's here for that. But I think I'm just getting a bit fed up with like the plummeting reach. Like, I don't quite know why. I don't know if it's because I'm posting less often, but I seem to be like hemorrhaging followers. Posts that would easily have got like good reach and like, I don't know, 1,000 likes or so, are just not reaching really anyone and not getting anywhere near that amount of kind of interaction. And it's just a bit frustrating. Not from a sort of, oh, poor me, but just in the back of my mind, I'm like, I feel like my previous designs, like the first sweater did very well, I think, in terms of, you know, a new design, a new release, like breaking into the designing scene. And I think a lot of that was due to interaction on Instagram and kind of using that as a marketing tool. So I'm like, oh, it would just be a real shame if like that's not really open to me anymore. I was going to say, let me know if anyone else has noticed the same, but I'm sure people have. You know, it's not a new thing, but it's just making me a bit less inclined to post. But I'm trying not to see it as like, I mean, it's definitely nothing personal. It's an algorithm thing. And I've not been putting as much into it, so I'm not going to be getting as much out of it. And I thought it was really interesting when Laura very honestly reflected on her relationship with Instagram when she lost her account recently. You know, it's not a reflection of your worth. So it's not that. I think it's more just thinking ahead and trying to like create some awareness of my new pattern that I'm very excited about, and the test knitters are doing an amazing job of. It just feels like it's not reaching people the way it has done previously. Does that make any sense? I really hope I'm not sounding whiny and entitled and ungrateful, because I'm not at all. It's just something I've noticed, and just affected my mojo, I think, a little bit. But such is life, and such is Instagram, and it's, you know, it's an algorithm, and no amount of like trying to suss it out or frustrating yourself or making yourself feel bad over it is going to make an ounce of difference. So decided just gonna post what I want to post and see what happens. So let me know if you're feeling any of the same frustrations. I suspect most people are feeling the same frustrations. So yeah, the test knit rolls on. Check out the hashtag for the Reste sweater if you want to have a look at people's creations. And if you'd be interested in test knitting the Reste Cardigan, then just bear in mind that I'll probably be launching a test call for that towards the end of the sweater test, which will probably be around September time. Maybe it'll happen before then if I feel like I can deal with that, but it'll probably be around September time. So I'm going to stop waffling. I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching. What time is it now? No idea. I think it's about lunchtime. So I'll try and get this edited and uploaded as soon as I can. So it may be Monday evening when you see this. It may be Tuesday. But whenever you're watching, hope you have enjoyed the episode. If you wouldn't mind subscribing and giving the video a like, it really helps to say to YouTube, yay, Hive Knits is here. And I will see you next time. Have a lovely rest of your day, night, whatever time of day it is for you, wherever you're at in the world. Happy knitting, and see you later.